It was the day of her wedding, but she wasn't smiling. Not because she wasn't excited, but because she was scared. This wasn't the man she dreamed of marrying. He was poor. Too poor to give her the life she had imagined. And yet, here she was, standing at the altar with him. Laura had always dreamed of her wedding day, but never like this. As the soft strains of the wedding march played, she could hardly hear it. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat louder than the last. She glanced nervously at her groom, Daniel, who was standing beside her. His clothes, though neat, didn't fit the grandeur she had imagined. His shoes were old, worn down from years of use, and his suit, though ironed, seemed a bit too plain for a man standing in front of hundreds of people. She was not supposed to be here. She wasn't supposed to be marrying him. Her parents had arranged this marriage, and they weren't going to let her say no. Lara's mother had always insisted on finding a man who could give their family the wealth and status they deserved. But Daniel? He was the complete opposite of what her parents had envisioned. He was poor. His family had no power, no influence, and no riches. But he was kind, generous, and made her laugh, things that mattered to Laura. But none of that mattered to her parents. They had set the date. And so she found herself in a wedding dress, trapped in a decision that felt wrong. As the ceremony continued, Lara's thoughts drifted. Was this really her life now? Was she going to marry a man she barely knew because of a promise made by her parents? A promise she couldn't break, no matter how hard she tried? But then, she glanced at Daniel again. He smiled at her, and for a moment, everything felt right. It wasn't perfect, but perhaps it could be. She was determined to try. Daniel had always been quiet about his past. Laura knew he worked long hours, and she often heard rumors that his family struggled. He had no wealth to speak of. His job as a mechanic wasn't glamorous, and his apartment was small and modest. He was not the type of man Lara's parents would have chosen for her. But there was something about him, something that made her feel safe when he was near. After their wedding, Laura moved into his small apartment, and it didn't take long for the reality to set in. Her luxurious life of designer clothes, dinners at expensive restaurants, and outings with friends was over. In its place, she found herself in a cramped, two-room apartment. She couldn't help but feel the sting of disappointment. But Daniel was patient, always trying to make her feel comfortable. One evening, as they sat on the small couch after a simple dinner, Laura turned to him. "Daniel, why didn't you tell me about your family? About the life you came from?" He hesitated for a moment, the faintest hint of something hidden behind his eyes. "It's complicated," he said, his voice low. "I didn't want to burden you with my past. You deserve better." Laura was about to argue, but he continued, "I've worked hard to build a life on my own. I didn't want anyone to pity me." Days turned into weeks, and Lara's frustration grew. She felt trapped in a life that wasn't her own. Every time they went out, people looked at them with pity. She saw the way her friends stared at her, her family's disapproval lingering in their eyes. It wasn't the life she had imagined. One evening, Daniel came home late, a little out of breath, and looking more exhausted than usual. He had a briefcase with him, something he had never carried before. Laura watched him closely as he put it down on the table. "Long day?" she asked, trying to keep the irritation from her voice. "Yeah," Daniel muttered, rubbing his temples. "Just a bit of work to finish up." But there was something in his eyes. Something that told Laura he wasn't being entirely honest. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Daniel than he was letting on. The next day, she followed him. She didn't mean to, it wasn't something she was proud of, but she had to know. She had to understand the man she had married. Daniel had told her he was just a mechanic, but what if there was more? What if he was hiding something from her? She watched from a distance as Daniel walked into a building she had never seen before. It was a tall, sleek office building in the heart of the city, a place that looked far too expensive for a man like Daniel. Her heart raced as she realized the truth. Daniel was hiding something from her. But what? Laura didn't want to believe what she was starting to think, but the evidence was starting to pile up. Daniel's odd hours, the briefcase, the expensive building, it all pointed to one thing. Daniel wasn't just a mechanic. He wasn't poor. He was hiding his wealth from her. But why? What could be the reason for such a secret? Determined to find out, Laura decided to confront him. That night, after dinner, she took a deep breath and asked, "Daniel, what is going on? Why have you been lying to me about your life? He looked at her, a flicker of guilt in his eyes. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Laura, there's something I've been keeping from you. Something I didn't want you to know. Laura leaned forward, her heart in her throat. What is it, Daniel? What aren't you telling me? Daniel paused, his eyes softening. I'm not just a mechanic. I own several businesses. I've made a lot of money over the years. But I didn't want you to marry me for my wealth. I wanted you to love me for who I am, not for what I have. The weight of Daniel's confession hung in the air like a thick fog. Laura could hardly believe what she was hearing. All this time, he had been pretending to be someone he wasn't. He wasn't the poor man she had thought he was. He was a businessman, a secret billionaire, and yet, he had chosen to hide that from her. Why? Lara's mind raced, and 100 questions flooded her thoughts. But why, Daniel? Why didn't you tell me the truth? Why keep it a secret? Daniel's expression softened, but the sadness in his eyes was undeniable. I didn't want you to marry me for my money, Laura. I've worked hard for everything I have. I wanted you to love me, not my wealth. Laura felt a mixture of confusion and anger. But you lied to me. For months, I thought I was marrying a man who had nothing. I thought I was making a sacrifice for love. Daniel stepped closer, reaching for her hand. I never wanted to hurt you. I wanted to protect you from the life I had. I didn't want you to be with me because you thought I was your ticket to a better life. I wanted you to choose me for me. Laura pulled her hand back, feeling betrayed. So you think I wouldn't have loved you if I knew the truth? That I would have only cared about the money? You've been hiding this from me, Daniel. All this time. The room felt smaller, the silence between them growing heavier. Lara's heart ached with the weight of the truth. She had married a man she thought she knew, only to find out that everything she believed was a lie. But was it really a lie? Wasn't it possible that he truly loved her? Laura needed space. She needed to think. She couldn't process everything all at once. She walked out of their apartment and into the busy streets, trying to clear her head. The city buzzed around her, but she felt disconnected from it all. She didn't know who to trust anymore, not even Daniel. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from her mother. Laura, we need to talk. It's urgent. Laura stared at the message, feeling a knot tighten in her stomach. What now? She hadn't spoken to her mother since the wedding, and she had no idea what her parents were thinking. They had never approved of Daniel, and now that she knew the truth, they would only see him as a fraud. But there was something else, something more important than her mother's disapproval. Laura knew her mother. She was a woman who always had a hidden agenda, a woman who never said anything without expecting something in return. She had a feeling that her mother was hiding something important. But what? She decided to meet her. She needed answers. Laura arrived at her parents' house, her heart pounding with anticipation. She wasn't sure what her mother wanted, but she knew it couldn't be good. Her mother met her at the door with a tight smile. Laura, darling, I'm glad you came, her mother said, ushering her inside. Please sit. I have something to tell you. Laura sat down, her curiosity growing. What's going on, Mom? Why did you want to talk? Her mother's smile faded. It's about Daniel. Lara's heart skipped a beat. What about him? Her mother took a deep breath. He's not just a mechanic, Laura. He's been playing us all for fools. Lara's mind raced. What are you talking about? He's not poor, but he's not a fraud either. Her mother's eyes narrowed. No, Laura. Daniel is much more dangerous than you realize. He's been hiding his true identity for years. But the truth is, he's not the man he claims to be. He's not just a billionaire. He's a criminal. Lara's breath caught in her throat. What do you mean? Her mother leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. Daniel has been involved in illegal businesses. He's connected to a network of underground operations that no one knows about. His money comes from shady dealings, Laura. You're in danger. Laura felt the ground beneath her feet shift. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. That's not true. Daniel would never do anything illegal. Her mother looked at her with pity. You're naive, Laura. He's been hiding this from you because he knew you wouldn't marry him if you knew the truth. But now that you're married, he has you right where he wants you. Laura felt a cold sweat break out across her skin. Everything she had thought she knew about Daniel was falling apart. The next few days were a blur for Laura. She couldn't stop thinking about her mother's words. Was Daniel really involved in criminal activities? Was he dangerous? Laura decided to confront him once more. This time, she would get to the bottom of everything. She couldn't live in uncertainty any longer. When she returned to their apartment, Daniel was there, waiting for her. His eyes softened when he saw her, but Laura wasn't in the mood for his charm. She needed answers. "Daniel, we need to talk," she said, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. He nodded, sensing the tension in the room. "I know. I've been trying to figure out how to explain everything." Laura looked him straight in the eye. "Are you involved in any illegal businesses, Daniel? Are you hiding something from me?" For a moment, Daniel didn't speak. His eyes flickered with something guilt, maybe? But he remained silent. Laura pressed on. "Tell me the truth, Daniel. What is going on?" Finally, he spoke. "Laura, I've tried to keep you away from my past. But it's time you knew everything." Lara's heart was in her throat. What was he about to say? "I've been involved with some people I shouldn't have been," Daniel confessed. "But I've been trying to get out. I want to build an honest life with you, Laura. I swear, I didn't want you to be dragged into all this." Laura stared at him, her emotions a whirlwind of confusion and anger. "So, you're telling me you've been living a lie all this time? I don't know who you are anymore, Daniel." He took a step forward, his face filled with regret. "I'm sorry. I didn't want to lose you. I thought if you knew the truth, you would leave me. But I love you, Laura. I want to change." Lara's mind was racing. She didn't know what to believe. Was Daniel telling the truth? Or was this just another lie? Laura had a choice to make. She could walk away from Daniel, turn her back on him and the life she had known. Or she could stay, try to rebuild her trust in him, and take a leap of faith that he was telling the truth. But there was something else, something deeper. Laura loved him. She couldn't deny that. But could she live with the secrets he had kept from her? Could she really trust him again? As she stood there, looking into Daniel's eyes, she knew the answer wasn't simple. It would take time. It would take effort. But for the first time in her life, she felt that maybe, just maybe, they could have a future together.